You've been working on your game for 2 years. NextFest is right around the corner. And you have less than 600 wishlists. That's the position our guest today, Charlie, who's working on Flawed Tactics, finds himself in. Now, Charlie has created with me a really unique piece of content in that he has taken us behind the scenes of all of his marketing efforts that are leading up to the launch of his new game. Now, this is, he will admit, maybe a little bit of a short marketing cycle, and he talks through all the emotions and what he believes are mistakes and all of the hype of what might come when he releases this game. So you can expect a 2-part video in this video here. The first, we caught up about 2 months before NextFest when he was getting ready to launch into his playtest. He tells us about all of the marketing beats. And then in the second half of this video, we jump in just a few weeks ago, just about 2 weeks before NextFest, to catch up on all of the efforts he did, what the kind of fruit from that was, and how he's feeling going into NextFest. Now, as of today, the demo is available. You can check it out in the link below. I'm going to show you the trailer really quick so you can have some context for what we're talking about. But other than that, let's get into it. And I'm excited to share this marketing journey of Flawed Tactics with Charlie. Here we go.
This is the battlefield. Purchase minions, evolve to unlock new powers, then send into battle. Flawed Tactics is a PvP auto-battler where players control the balance. Each game, choose your pool of minions and spells, but pay careful attention. Costs change over time based on market demand. There is no such thing as an overpowered spell or minion. The market will keep adjusting the price. Fight other players in live PvP where you can cast spells to buff minions, create powerful relics, clone your superstar, or even steal the most powerful enemy. For a slower-paced, more casual experience, play async PvP, where you will battle the ghosts of past players, unlocking new difficulties until every army you face is a formidable opponent. In Flawed Tactics, you construct your team, you choose the spells, but you can't rely on net decking. The market is always balancing, and the meta is always shifting. Welcome back to Constructed PvP, where theory crafting is required for success.
So I launched the Steam page, I want to say, is 2 years ago. And I didn't think I'd be developing for the next 2 years. I thought obviously the game would go much faster than it would, but the prevailing advice at the time was get your Steam page up, immediately and start farming wish lists. I think that advice has, kind of shifted now, and a lot of folks recognize that Steam launch event is an actual exposure event, and so you obviously don't want to waste it. But so yeah, it's been 2 years. But next is zero marketing. I think I made a couple Twitter posts a year and a half ago or something. One of them was during Easter, because in my game there's like these rabbits that kind of breed with each other, and so it's like, all right, well, I'll just show rabbits just filling the entire board because they go crazy. Or the other one was like the one of the Dune movies came out, and I had these like worms that kind of look like the Dune things. I got barely any traction at all, so I kind of gave that up pretty quickly. And really, so for the last 2 years since the Steam page is live, or really 3 years since development started, I've done basically zero marketing, which I think probably everybody would say that's a terrible idea, and they're probably right. But now that I'm in the final stretch, I'm gonna give it a go, and I think I have some not necessarily unique ideas, but some ideas like inspired by listening to Thorny and so on, and just kind of like reading the room right now, which like, hey, you only have one month left. How can you actually hit this the hardest? And just to continue rambling, I don't know. I think there's a small chance it may work, because a lot of people right now, I think, have the view that the Steam algorithm is based on momentum, and I've got zero momentum right now. So if they're looking at velocity or maybe increase in how things are going, acceleration, then if I can hit this marketing thing really hard and there's some success to it, then who knows, maybe the secret is you don't need to be marketing your game the entire time. You just need to really have an effective message and, a reasonably good game, and hit the right buttons all at the same time. So I don't know. This is stage 0. So we're gonna see.
Yeah, well, that's really exciting, and it's a really fun experiment for the community. So thank you for sharing the journey with us. Just one thing before we jump into like all the numbers and the strategy, if we could just get kind of, personal into your brain for just a moment. Do you have set out in your mind any goal or maybe a number that you would consider a success, and then maybe a number of like the crazy thing that I think it could do? Just how are you thinking through success, goals, those sorts of things when we get to the end of all this?
I think I'm pretty pessimistic at this point, which I think is probably good for my mental health to a certain degree. Uh, right now, I think any positive result will just feel really nice, and a negative result, um, like I think will just be kind of expected to a certain degree. I'm excited to kind of move on to different games, but if this one actually finds success and finds an audience, I'm really excited to kind of expand on it. I have plans on like how I can make it better, make the world bigger, add different modes, and so on. From a numbers perspective, if I had to estimate, I'd probably spend, I'd say, about $10,000 on the game. A lot of that is for the 2D art, which I commissioned with an artist in Brazil. He's fantastic. Like a lot of our spell cards. That's one of the reasons I want the game to find some success, because I want to see more of his art. And it's also one of the reasons why I feel like even if the game is a financial disaster, I had a part in kind of bringing his art to life, which I don't know, it just kind of feels cool because I feel like the world's a better place because of some of his art. He's got like this, one of them's like a strength pose, and so you got this cactus kind of flexing muscles, and steroids are poking out of his ass, and so I don't know. I just love the creativity that he's got to it. Um, so I'd say I spent about $10,000 on the game. That's a lot of the 2D art, and then the 3D art was a lot of asset packs, and then hired a composer, hired a sound effects person, and so on. So um, that would be a nice to at least have a break even. But even that, I'm not sure is expected. So even though I'm super pessimistic right now, there is this part in the back of my mind that think that there is a chance that this could actually take off. And the reason is because I've done basically zero marketing to date. So I don't really know how much an audience really wants the game, which again, terrible advice. Don't make a game that you're not sure audience wants, but here we are. The game's just about complete. And now it's time to see if an audience actually wants it. I think if my game's going to find any success, it's probably going to be largely influenced by, China, Japan, and Korea. And as little as I know about marketing in the Western world, I know even less about marketing in Asia. But I do think it is a game that could kind of fit some of the player profiles out there. And so that's one of those things where I feel like there's a number of situations where games, even Slay the Spire, I think, was actually just kind of meddling along. And then an influencer in China is really the one who started the whole snowball going. So the world's so big, and I'm so naive to how big the world is that even though I'm fairly pessimistic, there's also in the back of my mind, like, man, I don't know, this could actually go pretty well. So it could be a pretty fun ride.
Yeah, well, it will be, like I said, a fun experiment. I mean, like you said, you haven't really validated the idea, which is probably where some of that pessimism comes
Yeah.
in. But at the same time, it's not validated. It hasn't been, it's not a no yet. The audience
That's
also
true.
hasn't said no. And so there is still some hope. It is, like you said, maybe not well advised to build a game without testing the ideas, but
Yeah.
it'll be fun for us to go along. So I think you were transitioning well into kind of what your plan is. So how many wish list are you sitting at today, and then kind of what's the next steps that you're going to start for in this hit the ground running marketing push as you come up to release day?
So Wishlist is not good. It's I think 522 as I just pulled it up. Um, uh, I think the last big bump I got was probably from our previous video, and that was maybe like 30 or something like that. So thank you for that. That's actually at a percentage basis, that's a pretty big bump. But this number is nowhere close to getting the Steam algorithm kind of excited. Um, a different number that I'm also focusing on is I have 325 playtesters waiting. Now, uh, based on all the conversation I've seen online, I think a lot of those may be bots. So I don't think there's actually 325 really waiting. I don't know why bots care about being part of a playtest, but um, I, I think probably out of that, maybe 40 to 50 could be real people actually waiting, which would be fantastic. So um, I've kind of got a multi-step plan. So I think if we count backwards from Steam Next Fest, which is June 15th, um, roughly a couple weeks before that, I plan to release the demo. And with that, with the demo release, once in the first 14 days, you get to send an email to your wish list and say, hey, this is going live. The demo is live. So I'll probably wait to time that email until right at NextFest or, right the day before, trying to get any sort of momentum possible. So that's one small step. Um, it was supposed to be, today's May 15th. It was supposed to be today, but I'm a few days behind. I'm going to release the playtest. So really, it's going to be release the playtest, um, hopefully get, a number of people joining, but also immediately after the playtest is available, start posting on the subreddits that allow for promotion. So I'm mainly, it's going to be, the auto battler subreddit. It's going to be the destroy my game subreddit, and maybe I'll search around and see what other kind of subreddits, kind of encourage that. Because really what I'm looking to do is expand the playtest. I don't think I can do that right now because there's no game for them to actively play, because I want to have kind of more of a critical mass than kind of a slow, kind of dripping in type situation. So um, there's a lot more to that, though. I want to pause, though, before I ramble on too much, but a lot more to discuss
Yeah.
about that stuff.
And just to catch people up, if they didn't catch your episode, your game has a unique challenge in that it's an auto battler. So you have created a system that has the way you can play single player. I forget the word.
Yeah,
But
async, they call it. Yeah.
async, yes. You have an async mode, but in your ideal world, you actually build a player base. And so you have this unique challenge where you can't really just throw out a demo and let people play it individually because they won't get the best experience. So just to catch people up on that. So yeah, you've got this play test coming up. What are you planning to do between? So we have essentially 3 stages that we're going to kind of cover in this video, or this series. So you've got the play test, the demo, and then Next Fest, and then launch soon after that. Yeah, so take me through. You've got the subreddit plan. Let's talk about this from playtest to demo section. What are you planning to work on post demo? Are you hoping to get anything specific? Is there anything else in your marketing beats? What other things are coming to your mind for this couple week section here?
So the biggest biggest source of optimism was really heavily influenced by a video with you and Thornity. I think it was with you, and Thornity basically just kind of talks about reaching out to tons and tons of influencers. Um, and I think he said that he kind of scraped the web and so on. And, I think he uses button pedal thing to say what's good and what's not. I have a feeling he used some bots, and so I thought to myself, "Well, I should just write some bots also." So what's happened over the last 6 weeks is I wrote some bots that have been taking a look at both YouTube and Twitch and kind of scraping it to find content creators that have played Teamfight Tactics, Super Auto Pets, The Bazaar, related type things, created a type of ranking score based on that, extract their email address, and so on. So the numbers are fairly encouraging. It's harder to scrape the web on YouTube, but I've got about 100 emails of relevant content creators from there. And from Twitch, about 700. So a lot of those ones for Twitch, though, they're going to be very small streamers. But again, this is kind of something where I just want to send out tons and tons of emails. And honestly, the higher the priority score, the more the customized emails are going to be, the more the research into the YouTube channel is going to be, and so on. And then for some of the content creators that maybe just have a very small amount of followers, just more of a automated type email system. Um, One of the things behind that, which again, this has all just been a learning experience with game dev entirely, was it was recommended to warm up my email address. So that's been going on for about 4 or 5 weeks also, which you pay some program and it just starts sending emails back and forth to different things so that when it's time to email the real emails, I guess the web servers around the world have less chance of putting your emails into spam. So kind of these small little steps. But if it's a numbers game, and I think it is to a certain degree a numbers game, really what I want to focus on for the next 2 weeks is the smaller streamers, the one that I can send playtest to. Maybe they join, maybe they don't. Start focusing on sending keys to some of the bigger streamers and saying, hey, there's early access to the demo if you want it, or the full thing. Here's the press kit and so on. So I need to do some more research on really how to make those emails as effective as possible. But in the end, I think the conversion rate other people have been stating is like 2%. So it's something very low. But if we're talking about 1,000 emails, then just quick math, that could be 20 content creators. So I'm hoping that there's some actual genuine interest in there, and then 500 wish lists goes significantly higher if you have 20 creators, 20 content creators actually take the bite. One other thing the database, the bots have done is, which I'm really excited about, is a lot of the higher rated ones have lots of subscribers, but a lot of them are from countries that I don't think I would have ever found necessarily the YouTube channels for. So we're talking, Thailand, India, just lots of different ones, a lot of Korean ones and so on. But I think this gives me an opportunity to reach out to those folks who may or may not get, approached with teamfight tactics like games where that's the genre that they play. And something saying, I'm really going to work on localization to make sure that, you and your player base can hopefully enjoy the game also. So I feel like by doing the scraping the web type situation, it's allowed perhaps to see different content creators that I just would have had no chance of seeing if I was just trying to do everything manually. So that's kind of where a lot of my hope relies right now, is the pure numbers game. And in the next 2 weeks before the demo, really just kind of getting that rolling. There are some other, non content creator plans too, but let me just kind of pause right there.
Yeah, so glad you're doing the content creator strategy. It really seems like to me in the meta, if you literally just did one marketing thing, it should be email creators. I think creators are the gateway to success. Obviously I haven't released a game, but just as I've talked to people, that seems like uh maybe the most important thing other than, having a good Steam page. So yeah, really glad you're going that route. Thornady did talk about his tool in one of my episodes if people want to go find it. I don't remember which one it is, but you can scrub the transcript for Scraper. He said he did some vibe coding to Scrape, and then he said he filled out all the captchas himself to get YouTube emails. So I know people for him were really interested in that tool that he built. Can you just give us 2 or 3 minutes of like technical talk on like what the tool you built was and how you did it and how it works?
Yeah, I think the audience is going to hate it, but there was a lot of vibe coding in that also.
Yeah.
I think one of the nice things is that it it allowed me to do something that I don't really have any skill in. I don't have a skill in Python. I don't have a skill in scraping the web and so on. But what I do have is kind of ideas on how I want to do it, kind of the rating algorithm, what kind of makes sense and what's useful and not. Um, I think something that anybody can build, and a lot of them will build a lot better one than I did. I'm excited to continue using those type of tools. Thorny made another point in a different video just I think pretty recently, where he mentioned that, or actually maybe this is a while ago. He said something that if he's going to work with somebody on a game, the answer is basically automatically no, unless they can find 500 content creators that will cover that game. Um, and for my next game, I don't want to make a game that is just for pure financial reasons. I want to make a game that speaks to me, and I feel like I have some innovation opportunities in there. But I want people to play the game because this is kind of a shared experience. Even if it's a single player thing, it's kind of a shared experience of building this community around it. And, kind of as you mentioned, the content creators are really the gateway to the players at the moment. So it doesn't make any sense to do the strategy I did for this one, which is not kind of verify that the game is going to have an audience, not verify that content creators are going to be interested in covering the game, but instead go the opposite route and see where the kind of the Venn diagram where the two circles can meet, where there are content creators out there ready, and there is something that speaks to me about the genre, and I have some ideas on what that's going to be. And quite frankly, even if it does have content creators, I'm just kind of excited to make the game anyway. So that's probably what's going to win out. So.
Something I'm curious about is if you have any notes on the messages you're sending them, if you did any research on what kind of message. Have you started sending those out yet, or you just have the list?
No, so I'm not going to
Okay.
send anything out until the play test is there, because the last thing I want them to do is say, "Oh, I'm interested in this," and not be able to play it immediately.
Yeah. Okay.
So ideally, it would be actually when the demo's out, but I don't think I have that time. And I want to start sending to some where they just have playtest access, and for the others, maybe just send them a key just so they know that they can access it immediately. Because I do think a fair number of streamers will see that, oh, I don't have a key, there's no demo, so I don't really want to push this playtest button, because they don't understand that that could possibly just lead to instant access to the game, like it does if you have an open playtest.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. When are you planning to send the streamer emails? I think the most recent wisdom I heard was that you want to give them at least 3 weeks before you hope the video goes live, just because content creators book out their schedule, they schedule out their content, obviously.
Honestly, they were supposed to go out today. It's the playtest was supposed to go live today. It's a Friday. I'm not going to make it, and we kind of chatted about this before the call, kind of going into like the commercial versus the just I really want to have fun. The last 2 days have been kind of burned putting in a stock derivative trading system into the game because I already have the stock market anyway. And it's like, man, this is really fun. I started geeking out and going to Black-Scholes method and all this like actuarial type stuff that I kind of have a history in. Um, so yeah, that was probably a bad idea from a marketing standpoint. I probably should just focus on actually getting the playtest out, but sometimes you just want to do the math type stuff. So long story short, and my new goal is by Tuesday. And once the playtest is live, the subreddit posts are going immediately and the emails are going to start going because I don't think I can send too many at once anyway. So probably sending, 20 to 50 a day, probably. And some of those may be bot sourced and some of them will just be, a lot of thought put into them because there's obviously some big streamers. The advice that I keep on hearing though is make it short. Nobody wants to read a paragraph. Nobody wants to hear the story of your life. So I think the smart thing to do would be like A/B test it. I don't think I have the capacity or necessarily even the skill set to kind of do that. So that would be useful, but it probably makes it worthwhile then to at least try to vary some of the emails and not A/B test, but just make sure that I'm not sending the same bad email and kind of make a distribution of emails. So the other thing that I was gonna plan to do, but this is probably probably a week away after that because it's just gonna take so much time to get that process rolling is um, start reaching out to maybe some non-traditional sources. So for the folks that don't know, my game is a online PvP game and there's a market balancing system where the more somebody buys a particular minion, the more it costs for everybody globally and so on. So it kind of always balances itself and it's kind of like a stock market. So uh, why not reach out to the Wall Street Journal? They have a games person. Why not reach out to Bloomberg? They have a games person. And those emails will probably take a little bit more time, a little more preparation, because I need to try to reinforce, hey, this is why, this may be an interesting coverage to you. And these are low probability type situations, low probability they'll be in time for, the NextFest and the Steam algorithm. But I think it's worth it. So I haven't done marketing for 3 years. So I think I really need to grind hard for this next month and just try to explore every particular, every possible avenue that I can.
Yeah, absolutely. And then that did spark one just piece of word of advice from someone. I actually have an interview coming out about a week from now, a guy who did go viral. And something really critical he did was he had somewhere small, I think it was a tweet. It was like a tweet of like 100K. And then he sent that to like this big
Oh, yeah.
Twitter. And then they were like, oh, that's pretty interesting. And then they shared it. And then it got like 5 million views. So, if the Wall Street Journal doesn't answer you, just as an example, but, localbusiness.com or whoever, the whatever, a smaller one, does cover it, you can sometimes upgrade that. Like, I think Chris Zukowski talks about this of like, whenever someone shares it, send it to whatever one level higher is and say, hey, they covered it if you want to cover it. So, obviously you're in a time crunch here, and but just a word for people listening, that's something that people try to do with a marketing strategy. So,
well, that kind of sparks an idea. And this is one of the reasons why I was okay burning the 2 days. So I'm an actuary by trade, so I'm very much in the financial community. And as I was doing this derivative pricing system, I have maybe 800 or 900 contacts on LinkedIn. And I started thinking to myself, like, this is actually something that my network of people may be somewhat interested in. And again, the Venn diagram of those people and then the ones that are on the Steam is probably very low. But if the message can be crafted well enough, then I could see it getting, mini viral and kind of being sharing if you're talking about an actuary making video games and all of a sudden Black-Scholes derivative pricing and so on. But going to your point, if that can get any traction, then all of a sudden maybe that is something that you can get, the Wall Street Journal's attention or something like that. If there's a small viral thing and say, hey, this is a business oriented type thing that other people are interested in, are you interested in covering it? So I know we're shooting from the hip on all this. Hopefully the next game is much more structured, but we'll see. It's go time.
Yeah, well, like I said, once again, thanks for sharing. We will touch base again closer to the demo launch and kind of just, retrace your steps from what you've, said you're going to do. So that will be really fun. Anything to add before you jump into this first phase of marketing?
No, there's so much to do. Right after the demo gets released, I will be presenting at the Indigo showcase, but we can talk about that before because that should be before the Netherlands trip, which should be a lot of fun. So.
Excellent. All right. Well, good luck, my friend. I'll let you go get to your marketing, and I'll see you for the next round.
Thanks, Blake.
Okay, so I think we originally talked about meeting 2 weeks after our first conversation, and we extended it to 3 weeks. And a big part of that was I was just super, super busy.
getting everything ready for kind of like the official playtest launch. The playtest had already been launched, but I had, I think, 350 people waiting. And so I wanted to make sure that I had that momentum all at once. And so I didn't feel comfortable. I was about a week delayed until we did that. So I kind of lost what I would say is a week of marketing. Now, that actually worked pretty well though, when that 350 button, was pushed. I don't remember the number of players, but I got a fair amount of traffic and it was nice. People started playing the game, and it felt really good. So that went well. And then I started the bot that we talked about. So I think I had about 1,000 emails from Twitch. A lot of them which were garbage. In fact, one of them I think I sent it to like support at Riot Games or something like that. And yeah, so they were one of the few ones that actually responded, or their bot responded. So our bots were talking. And then I think it was about 100 what we call tier two, and then about 18 like highest priority ones. So all through that week, the bot was running, but I was really just kind of scrambling because I was going to Indigo in Netherlands, with the Dutch gaming group conference and so on, and we can kind of go into that and kind of experience there. But long story short, uh, maybe it was the bot, maybe it was the email template, but it didn't produce results at all. And I have no plans on doing something like that again. Certainly not for automated emails. Maybe for scraping and trying to get lots of emails, because there were some kind of cool things where I saw, some uh, big YouTube or Twitch streamer in Vietnam that has like, I don't know, 700,000 subscribers, and they play a lot of Team Fight Tactics. Just, some names I would never really necessarily be aware of, but it felt hollow and totally ineffective, I think, to have the emails kind of be automated. I don't know what was sent out really. It just, I don't know. I would not recommend. I know other folks have had success with that, perhaps, but to me, I don't plan on doing that on, again in the future at all. Um, so we were planning on talking, and then I was trying to have about 2 weeks of that marketing, and I think we only had about 1 week of the marketing between, today when we're recording this, and then when kind of the bottle started. And that was a really busy week because traveled to Indigo for the Dutch Gaming Conference, and that was a fantastic experience. I knew going in that was going to be a terrible use of money, as far as, I could probably spend this couple $1,000s, paying a streamer or something like that, or do some real marketing. But it wasn't about that. It was about the life experience, and just, taking this product that I worked on for 3 years, going out there and just kind of enjoying myself. And it surpassed all expectations. I'm extremely jealous of the Dutch game dev community, how fantastic of a tight knit community that they have there. What an amazing place to kind of be an indie developer, a video game developer. We certainly don't have that in the parts of the U.S. that I live in, and I hope it exists in other parts of the world, not just in the Netherlands type area. But really enjoyed demoing it there. Got a lot of good feedback, um, a lot of return users. So I kind of left there, kind of on cloud nine, thinking, okay, man, there was a number of people that came back multiple times, played for extended periods of time, and it was just fantastic. Uh, so this is kind of a long-winded story. This is only a couple days ago now. For Steam, since I'm participating in the NextFest, you need to have your demo released on a certain date in order to be eligible for press day. Uh, that day happened to be the day I was leaving the Netherlands to come back home. So it was like working at 2 a.m., making sure the demo's all ready, trying to get things in. I literally pushed the button and ran out of the hotel room to try to catch the train to get home. So kind of an exciting experience. The demo's released. It's been released for almost 2 days now when we're talking, and that's been an experience. Although I would say disappointing to a certain degree. Not necessarily meeting hopeful expectations, but probably just another opportunity to kind of come back to reality, I would say. So maybe let me pause there because I can keep on going. I know I've been chatting for a while, but before I kind of go into the demo release experience. I don't know if you had any questions.
Yeah, just a couple of different touch points I think you gave there that I would like to kind of go deeper into. So here's the 5 that I wrote down of things that I'd be interested in hearing more about. The Indigo experience. Just to clarify, I guess I didn't realize you were having a bot both do the scraping and do the emailing. I thought you were just doing scraping, so I'd love to hear just another minute about that. And then what you did in your week of marketing. And also just quickly, how many days are we out from NextFest? Just so people watching can have the timeline in their head. We're approaching NextFest right now, as at this moment.
I think we're about 10 days out right now.
Okay.
It's a Friday and NextFest is on a Monday. So whatever that math is, 9 or 10 days. So
perfect.
Yeah, 10 days actually.
Okay. Yeah. Take your pick, where you want to go next, either Indigo or talking about your bot or the week of marketing or your demo was the other thing. Any of those all sound interesting to me.
Sure.
To hear more about.
The bot was really just there sending emails to kind of, I think what we'll call tier 3 creators. So, things that the bot, when it scraped, didn't think it was necessarily super relevant. Maybe there was a streamer, a YouTuber that played Balatro, for example. And for my game, I'm not sure there's a huge, a connection between Balatro, but it's one of those cases where, if you're just going to send an email, then why not just go and send an email? At least that was the thought process to start with. So between knowing that the bot could go ahead and send emails, and that, took a fair amount of work to set up, and just being totally slammed with all the work, just trying to get everything done. I think sleep has not really been in the schedule for a number of weeks now. So I'm sure a number of indie devs can kind of, empathize with that. That just went ahead and started let the bot do the tier 3 emails and some tier 2. It was, I don't think I got any replies other than like the bot reply. I think maybe I got 4 replies total, and 3 of them were essentially other bots. And one was one particular individual in Russia who said, "Yeah, they won a test." So fantastic. That's amazing that to get a little bit of connection. But just taking this kind of like product that you put your whole like heart and soul into, and then having a bot kind of send it out to the world, I don't know, it did not feel good. It just kind of felt hollow. And again, that's why I kind of have no plans on doing it in the future. Maybe I would have a different opinion if it was super effective. Like if there would have been a lot of replies or even some replies, then maybe I have a different view, but it really wasn't worth it, I think, in the end. Indiegogo, yeah, that was a 2-day event that folks go there and they showcase their games. So you had to apply to showcase, and I was accepted. I don't know how competitive it is or not competitive, but there were a number of pretty serious games there. I think one of them had like 350,000 wish lists. All the individuals there were fantastic. It was just a great community of people. Had a number of like LinkedIn connections, which I thought was kind of interesting. I use LinkedIn for my quote unquote real job. But a lot of those folks wanted to connect on LinkedIn, which that's kind of cool. Yeah, kind of expand the community. I found out you can scan a QR code on LinkedIn. I had no idea, but scan a number of QR codes. Yeah, it was. I'm not sure there's many takeaways other than I would love to do a similar type of thing in other countries and just go kind of experience the game dev communities out there. Again, financially was not a great use of funds. From a life experience, absolutely. Don't regret it at all. And super glad that I went, even though, it may not actually lead to any sales or kind of marketing. With that said, one of the guys that I've known for a few years, he was there and we did chat, and he said, "Why don't you reach out to this YouTuber and this YouTuber?" And while I was in a layover in Dublin, flying home from the Netherlands, I thought about it, and I reached out to those 2 YouTubers by email. They haven't responded, but I think that's when I made the official decision. I'm totally done with bots, and kind of reaching out to these YouTubers, it kind of allows you to feed on a little bit of hope. It's which I think is so important throughout this whole process, because it's so easy to become discouraged. And I'm definitely like on the bottom part of the roller coaster at the moment. So those little things of hope are really nice. And I think what my new plan is because I don't see immediate success coming, and just success may never come even slowly. But I think if I just reached out to a couple YouTubers a day, like people who I legitimately think would like the game and have an audience that I think would like the game, it can kind of feed that hope over and over again. And you never know when one would reply. And I think it really just takes one exposure type event like that, if your game is good, to actually maybe start the snowball rolling. So it's kind of taken the empty, soulless emailing out of it. And now more focused things that kind of, it's just nice to think of as like, oh man, what happens if this guy actually responded? That'd be a really cool experience. And it's something that doesn't have to be that time consuming. And I think that's just what I'm going to do. As far as I need to do a lot more marketing than just that. But as far as the emailing, I now just plan on saying, okay, I'm going to pick like 2 or 3 people a day. I'm going to go really make sure they're the right fit. I'm going to email them, and then that's going to give me, oh, hey, maybe they're going to reply back, and really high chance they won't. But there's always the next day to kind of reach out to. So it's kind of a shift in market, or not a shift in market, a shift in mindset to kind of go with that approach. And I don't know, it just feels more pure and kind of more exciting too. So
Yeah, two little tidbits I'll give you to maybe increase that hope just a little more. I have heard of other indie devs that have released games say there's a portion of YouTubers that won't play a demo or a playtest. They will only do a full release. And there's a good portion, because they're so busy, they don't respond. They just play your game and post a video. So, maybe it's false hope. We don't really know. Like we talked about in our last video, the idea is not really validated or invalidated. So, but just, to add just a little pool to a little drop to your bucket of hope there. That could be happening. But you also mentioned that you feel like was it the demo numbers or the playtest numbers were not super encouraging? Why don't you tell us about that a little bit?
yeah, it's still early. So we're less than 2 days from when I pushed the demo button. And again, I pushed it on the morning of the deadline for the June NextFest press release, which was June 4th. It's now June 5th right now. I didn't know what to expect. It was kind of nice because I pushed it, and this is like, I don't know, probably midnight US East Coast time, like 6 a.m. In the Netherlands. And I have some alerts when new players create accounts, and it was starting to go about 1 an hour, and that felt pretty good. It did slow down, and I wasn't looking at wish lists. I wasn't looking at those metrics. I was looking at who's actually playing the game and whether or not they're actually kind of engaging with it. So um, the numbers have slowed down quite a bit. I'm not sure how many new players I have, but over 2 days, I want to say I probably have somewhere between 20 and 30, which is a decent amount compared to what I was at before. But I think it's hard not to look at kind of all these success stories that you see on social media and like, I got 1,500 wish lists on that first day. And I have no doubt that they're true. It's just that's definitely not my experience. And I think there's a whole lot of things that I haven't done that is responsible for that. But one of those things just may be that I didn't make a game that, Joe's Tie Roller was determined as kind of a not marketable, but I forgot what term he actually uses, but that may just not be my game where it's, something that people really, the appeal factor, I think. Um, with that said, I still feel confident that if I can find the actual audience, then I think that it could find success. And there are some numbers that are really encouraging. I think my average or my median playtime for my demo is at 40 minutes right now. So I think when people find it, then they actually play a significant amount of it, which is fantastic. And I kind of watch the database to see how many rounds are being played. And there's a number that have played, significant amounts for the demo. It's only been out for 2 days, but, certainly multiple hours played for some of them. And kind of going back to the release of the playtest, let me take a step back. Over the 3-year development, especially the 2 years since it started becoming public, I feel like there's always one or two individuals that kind of keep your hope going. And you don't need to know who they are, but somehow there's like one or two individuals that kind of get hooked on the game and they just play and play and play. And you kind of feed off that thinking, okay, maybe there's a chance that, there's other people out there like this. And so that happened with a couple of individuals in the playtest. One of them was like, because I look at the number of rounds they played. And at that point in time, I think my account had about 1,300 rounds. They got within a week up to 1,000 rounds played.
Wow.
And I'm
Yeah.
averaging, I think it's roughly at least 2 minutes per round. So, I mean, it's tens of hours that they play. And it's like, man, okay, so there are some individuals that are crazy enough to want to kind of play this, to a significant amount of time. And that could mean that there's an audience out there if I just get the right people. I think that's a really big thing, especially for my game too, is that, and I kind of noticed this at the Indigo conference, is that I think my game resonates really well with genre players. It doesn't resonate well at all for non-genre players. And perhaps that's typical experience for other devs too. But if folks don't like kind of the auto battler, and a lot of folks didn't know what an auto battler was, it's like, man, that is just not going to be my target audience. So kind of going back to those bot emails and so on, or it's just kind of sending stuff out to general, YouTubers or so on. I don't know. I don't see the success in that. And perhaps that's picking a genre that may be too specific. But if I look at Teamfight Tactics, I think Riot says that they have 30 million monthly users. And I've always said that, boy, if I can just find 0.1% of their users, then the game is a financial success. So I just haven't solved how to actually connect with those folks. But I also don't think I've put in the grunt work to do that properly. So when I hit Steam Next Fest, I think that if there is a failure, and I think indications are that it will be a financial failure, I still put 99% of that on myself, and not saying that, somehow Steam didn't promote me, or it's definitely all on me not doing the legwork beforehand. But with that said, I can't stomach waiting until the next fest. It's the game's ready, and I think it's either time to find this audience or not. And then, kind of alluding to your point, I think there's always the possibility that 2 or 3 months out, the proper YouTuber who likes the genre could pick it up, and I think the game is fun enough that there's a chance that the audience would see it and they'd be kind of intrigued to know more.
Yeah, and it's a paid game, right? Like it's one-time payment.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
There is
Yeah.
significant amount of free to play with the demo, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, just a couple thoughts as an observer following you on this journey. I think the one thing I would be afraid of is maybe the auto battler genre has just been declared almost like a mobile game, in that the expectation is free. Like TFT is free, and that's a hard game to compete with. And as a viewer, I'm also experiencing this really interesting tension of this story you're sharing. On the one hand, like 40-minute median playtime is really high. Like, I think devs aim for 10 minutes. And I know it's a different, like, that is sometimes a little bit different based on genre, but that's really promising. But then you also, on the other hand, have this, like, not great experience with the content creators. So I'm, as a viewer, I'm hooked. I'm excited to see what happens on this journey. So yeah, thanks for sharing everything so far. What did you do in that week of marketing that you mentioned?
I still haven't much. That was such a week full of dev that it was really relying on the bots. And this is why, like, boy, I still haven't done the things that I need to do. We have 10 days to Next Fest. I think the most effective marketing I did was those 2 emails that I sent to those large streamers that, there's a really high chance that they'll never, get back to me. But that's the thing that I feel the best about. I did do something crazy or stupid today. I'm not sure which, maybe effective. And I talked to some other game dev buddies about it, and they kind of egged me on, or not egged me on, they rooted me on. And so I posted in a few subreddits, and I said, I'm whoever has the highest rating, and at the end of the evening on Sunday gets $100 Steam gift card. Um, and I
I
did
like
see
it.
some new players immediately come on, but then I also saw the post get removed from most of the subreddits, including the ones that I had reached out to the mods and asked permission for first. And
You
then I
never know
think,
with Reddit. It's a war zone out there.
so we'll see. I mean, numbers are still kind of trickling in. I guess I thought I was under the impression that the demo release would be a bigger exposure event. It was definitely an exposure event. There's no doubt about it that somehow Steam pushed me, because the number, people started coming in pretty soon. It was probably poor timing, like the time of the day when I did it. I did not really have, other things kind of marketing towards it. Like I've still, on the to-do list is to reach out to IGN for trailers, and there's so many things on the to-do list. So um, Steam definitely is doing their job in promoting it, but I'm not doing my job and really helping the algorithm kind of push along. So we'll see. But the the $100 contest, it definitely did bring them some people. I don't know, probably at least 5 or 6 people. Of course, if you look at that as like a user acquisition cost, then
Not great, admittedly.
not, no. So I think I know the person who's probably going to win anyway, and he's very good at the game. And I wouldn't be surprised if he takes $100 and just buys a whole bunch of copies and gives out the copies anyway. So
That'd be
I
cool.
don't care about the $100. I care about people coming in and kind of trying the game and hopefully enjoying it.
Yep. Yeah. Have you checked wish list numbers recently? I think we were at 522. We said in the last segment.
Yeah, I think we're about 580.
Okay.
So not a significant bump at all. And I think part of that was just the playtest. That may have been even a bigger part than the demo. Uh, I did get 2 wish list deletions today, and I kind of wonder if that's some people because there's some redditors that were upset about the marketing tactic of the $100. So
Yeah. Sure.
you can't make them all happy.
No.
So.
No, you can't. Okay. Okay. Yeah. That was all that I had to touch base on. Anything else you want to update us on for this segment?
So I think this next week is pretty critical. I need to get the trailer IGN. I think a lot of people have been having success in getting it published. That's good. There's a number of pretty big YouTubers to reach out to. I'm excited about that. So it's kind of strange to have marketing actually being excited about it because it kind of goes again to those little nuggets of hope, I think. Um, Otherwise, I think it's just finishing up a couple elements in the game. The game's in a super good place right now. Somebody described it as plays like butter. It's fantastic. Some of the sound effects definitely need some improvement, but I think the game is going to be in a really good shape for Steam Next Fest on the 22nd. And I think some folks are waiting for the full release, so it's probably going to happen extremely shortly after that. And then I think it's just going to be a continual marketing effort from there, and possibly just moving on to new projects as, kind of maintaining it unless it really finds some traction. So I know I'm enjoying playing it. I know certain players are definitely enjoying playing it. My neighbor's hooked, which is crazy because he doesn't really play video games, but it's really fun to see. And
That's incredible.
he always wants to talk about it. So I do too. So,
That's awesome. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Thanks for sharing. We'll touch back in next time.
all right. Thanks, Blake.